She didn't mean to start a war. She just wanted to make him lose that smug smile. "Rich men don't know how to please a woman," she said. "You couldn't handle me." But the man she mocked wasn't just rich. He was a mafia boss. And when he leaned in and whispered, "Want to bet?" her whole life changed. The rooftop lounge in Manhattan smelled of expensive perfume and whiskey, soft jazz mixed with the steady rhythm of bass coming from the lower floor. Golden lights bounced off the glass walls, and the skyline glittered behind them like a reminder that this city never slept. Harper Blake didn't belong there. She wasn't poor, but she didn't have money to waste on a $200 bottle of champagne either. Her friend Riley had convinced her to come after a long week at the office, saying she needed to live a little. Now Harper stood at the bar, holding her glass, pretending to enjoy the taste, and silently counting how much this one drink probably cost. Her simple black dress fit her perfectly. It wasn't designer, but she had a natural class that didn't need a label. Her brown hair fell over her shoulders, soft waves brushing her collarbone. She didn't try to stand out, but she did anyway. Then she saw him. At first, she thought he was just another rich guy surrounded by quiet men in suits. But there was something different, the way people looked at him. When he moved, the waiters stepped aside. When he stopped, conversations lowered a little. It wasn't about money, it was about control. He sat at a corner table with 3 men, each one watching the room more than they watched their drinks. His expression didn't change when people greeted him. His dark eyes studied the place like a man used to owning it. His presence was calm, but the kind that made your stomach tighten. "Who's that?" Harper asked the bartender. The bartender froze for a second, then cleared his throat. "You don't want to know, miss." That was answer enough. Harper's curiosity only grew. Riley, sitting beside her, followed her gaze and whispered, "That's Adrian Moretti." "Should I be impressed?" Harper asked, sipping her drink. "You should be careful," Riley muttered. "He's not just rich, he's powerful." Harper smiled faintly. "They're all the same. Money makes them think they can buy anything, people included." She didn't mean for her voice to carry, but it did. The bartender looked nervous, eyes darting toward Adrian's table. The man in question slowly turned his head. His eyes locked on hers across the bar. For a full second, Harper forgot how to breathe. Then she told herself to stop being ridiculous and looked away. But he kept watching. Riley leaned closer. "Don't look at him like that. He's dangerous." "I'm not looking," Harper replied. "I'm just standing here." "You're challenging him," Riley hissed. "Good," Harper said. "Someone should." Adrian Moretti stood. His movement was smooth and precise, like a man used to being obeyed. The 2 men beside him exchanged a glance, but didn't stop him. He adjusted his suit jacket, buttoned only the middle button, and started walking toward the bar. Every sound around them seemed to soften. People made space without being asked. Even the bartender stepped back. Harper didn't move. When he stopped in front of her, she looked up. He was taller than she expected. Up close, his features were sharper, his eyes even darker, almost green under the lights. He smelled clean, expensive, like cedarwood and confidence. "You think that's funny?" he asked quietly. She blinked. "Excuse me?" "What you said about rich men," he replied. His tone was calm, but it wasn't small talk. It was a statement. She crossed her arms. "It's just an opinion." "An opinion based on what?" "Experience," she said, lifting her chin. "Rich men like control. They think they can buy what they want and walk away." He studied her for a moment, eyes moving slowly from her eyes to her lips, then back. "And you think that's all there is to men like me?" "That's what I said." He leaned in slightly. "And what makes you so sure?" Harper smiled, refusing to show any fear. "Because men like you wouldn't know how to please a woman who can't be bought." He didn't blink. "Is that a challenge?" "Maybe." He stepped closer, his voice lowering. "You think I couldn't handle you?" The words came out teasing, but calm. Her heart pounded, yet she refused to step back. "I don't think," she said. I know. For a split second his lips curved, not in amusement but in something darker. He leaned even closer, his breath warm against her ear. Want to bet? Her pulse jumped. The sound of his voice hit deeper than she expected. She turned her face slightly, close enough to see the faint stubble on his jaw, the small scar near his collar. He didn't touch her, but the air between them felt charged. When he finally stepped back, she exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for minutes. Name? He asked. Why? Because I like to know who challenges me. Harper, she said. Harper Blake. He repeated it slowly. Harper Blake. He nodded once. I'll remember that. Don't bother, she said, trying to sound calm. You'll forget me the second I walk away. He looked directly into her eyes. I don't forget. Riley grabbed Harper's arm, whispering, Please, let's go. Adrian turned slightly toward the bar and spoke to the bartender. Put her drinks on my tab. Harper frowned. You don't have to. I don't do charity, he said, voice low. I pay for what catches my attention. I'm not for sale. He smiled faintly. That's what makes you interesting. Before she could answer, Riley pulled her away. Harper turned once at the door. He was still watching, calm, patient, like a man who had already decided something. Outside, the night air hit her. The sound of traffic filled the street. She tried to laugh it off. What an ego. Riley shook her head. You're insane for talking to him like that. He's just another rich guy. Riley stopped walking. No, Harper, he's not. I've heard stories. People disappear when they cross him. Then it's a good thing I'm not planning to see him again, Harper said. They reached the curb and a black car drove by slowly. Harper didn't notice, but Riley did. A man inside was watching them. When their eyes met, the window rolled up again. Inside the lounge, Adrian returned to his table. One of his men leaned forward. Boss, you want us to check her out? Adrian didn't answer immediately. He picked up his drink, watching the city below through the glass wall. Finally, he said, discreetly, I want to know where she works, who she is, everything. The man nodded and left. Adrian stayed where he was, replaying her words in his head. You couldn't handle me. That tone, that spark. He hadn't felt that in years. She wasn't scared of him, not like others were, and that somehow made her dangerous. He took another sip, calm but focused. If she thinks I can't handle her, he murmured, almost to himself. Let's see how she handles my world. The black sedan followed Harper's car from a distance, blending into the traffic. Inside, the man in the passenger seat spoke softly into a headset. We have eyes on her, boss. Heading downtown. Good, Adrian's voice replied through the line. Don't get too close. I just want to know she gets home safe. There was a pause. Safe or watched? The driver asked quietly. Adrian's tone stayed the same. Both. Harper reached her small apartment 20 minutes later. She kicked off her shoes, sighed, and dropped her purse on the couch. Her reflection in the mirror showed a faint blush still on her cheeks. She didn't want to admit it, but something about that man had shaken her. The calm, the certainty, the way he looked at her like she wasn't just another person at the bar, but a target, or a temptation. She turned off the light and tried to sleep, but the last thing she saw before closing her eyes wasn't the skyline or the club. It was his face leaning close, voice whispering against her ear. Want to bet? The city outside never really quieted. In the shadows of the night, one black car stayed parked across the street from her building. The driver checked his phone, then looked up at the window light that had just turned off. Still watching? The passenger asked. The driver nodded. Boss said not to lose her. They sat in silence for a moment before the driver added, She has no idea who she just challenged. From his penthouse balcony across the river, Adrian Moretti stood looking out at the same skyline, his phone in hand, his thoughts already consumed by one name, Harper Blake. Harper woke up earlier than usual, not because of work and not because she had something important to do. She just couldn't stop replaying the night before. The way he walked toward her, the way he didn't raise his voice once, the way he said, "Wanna bet?" like a man who always won. She rolled her eyes at herself in the mirror. It was just a guy in a club, she muttered. A dangerous one. End of story. She showered, tied her hair up, and put on work clothes. Dark jeans, a fitted beige blouse, low heels. She worked in event logistics for a hotel group downtown. Nothing glamorous, nothing that screamed, "I spent the night teasing a Mafia boss." By 8:15 a.m., she was locking her apartment door. That was when she saw it. A black SUV parked right in front of her building. Clean, tinted windows. The kind of car rich people use to move around the city without being noticed. Or the kind of car people use to keep someone safe. The driver stepped out immediately, like he had been waiting for her. He wore a dark suit, earpiece, clean-cut hair. Professional. "Ms. Blake?" he asked. Harper tightened her grip on her bag. "Who's asking?" "I'm Caleb. Mr. Moretti sent me to drive you." She stared at him. "Drive me where?" He said, and I quote, "Wherever she needs to go." Her jaw clenched. "I didn't ask for a driver." "He knows," Caleb said, respectful but firm. He insisted. Of course he did. Harper looked around the street. People were walking to work. No one was paying attention. But she knew what this was. It wasn't a favor. It was a statement. Adrian Moretti was showing her he could reach into her normal life whenever he wanted. "No thank you," she said. "I can take the subway like I do every day." Caleb didn't move. "Mr. Moretti also said to tell you the city isn't always safe, especially after last night." That made her pause. "After last night?" "What?" she asked slowly. Caleb opened the back door of the SUV. "He just wants to make sure you get to work. That's all." She hated that part of her wanted to get in. She hated that another part of her was curious. How far would this man go? Was he really watching her? Was he testing her? She sighed. "Fine, but only to work." Caleb gave a small nod. "Yes, ma'am." She slid into the back seat. The inside smelled like leather and something light, not too strong. There was already a bottle of water in the holder and a small box with a croissant. She frowned. "Did he?" "Yes," Caleb said from the front. "He said you didn't eat much last night." "How does he even know that?" she muttered. "He notices things," the driver said, pulling into traffic. Harper looked out the window at the city passing by. New York always moved fast, but today she felt like she had been pulled into a different speed, like everything she did was being monitored. Her phone vibrated. Unknown number. She opened the message. "Adrian Moretti. Good morning, Harper." She stared at the screen, then typed, "Harper, you sent a car?" His reply came seconds later. "Adrian, Manhattan traffic is a waste of time. I don't like the idea of you walking alone after last night." She typed faster. "Harper, after what exactly?" "I said one sentence in a bar." "Adrian, you said it to me." She rolled her eyes even though he couldn't see. "Harper, you're dramatic." "Adrian, I'm careful." She stopped texting. Her heartbeat was faster than it should have been. She didn't want him to think she was impressed. Another message came. "Adrian, I'd like to see you later. Lunch." She exhaled. There it was. The real reason for the car. "Harper, I work." "Adrian, I know where you work." She froze for half a second. The driver glanced at her in the rearview mirror, but stayed silent. "Adrian, I'll send the car at 12:30. "Harper, what if I say no?" "Adrian, then I'll send it at 12:30 and wait." She stared at the screen. Then she typed the only answer that wouldn't sound like surrender. "Harper, we'll see." She put the phone away. Caleb dropped her off in front of the hotel where she worked. A couple of receptionists at the entrance looked at the car, then at her, and she could already hear the whispers forming. "Thank you," Harper said, stepping out. "Ms. Blake?" Caleb called. She turned. He handed her a small black card. "In case you need to go anywhere before noon, I'm around the corner." She narrowed her eyes. "He told you to stay close?" "Yes." She rubbed her forehead. "Does he do this with every woman?" Caleb almost smiled. "No." She didn't answer that. She just walked into the building, shoulders straight, acting like nothing was out of the ordinary. But it was. Inside, her coworker Jenna whispered, "Okay, who was that?" No one, Harper said, heading to her desk. Oh no, people don't arrive in black cars with drivers saying no one, Jenna teased. Is he rich? Harper sat down. Yes. Is he hot? Harper thought of the way he'd leaned in, voice low, eyes steady. Yes. Then what's the problem? He's the kind of rich who has security, Harper said. The kind of rich who sends a car without asking. The kind of rich people don't say no to. Jenna raised a brow. And you said no? I'm trying, Harper muttered. She tried to focus on work, emails, event orders, a change in the ballroom setup for a corporate client. Normal life. The life she built herself, with no man paying for it, no one telling her what to do. But at 11:50 a.m., she was still thinking about him. At 12:20 p.m., she was checking the time every 2 minutes. At 12:28 p.m., she told herself she was not going. At 12:30 p.m. on the dot, her phone vibrated again. Caleb, I'm downstairs. She stared at the screen. She could ignore it. She could send a message and say she wasn't available. She could tell him to leave her alone. But another message came, from an unknown number. Not Adrian's. Unknown. Careful who you're seen with. She froze. She looked around the office. No one seemed to be watching her. No one seemed nervous. She typed back. Harper. Who is this? No answer. Her throat tightened. She picked up her bag and headed to the elevator. When she stepped outside, Caleb was holding the door open. Something wrong? He asked immediately, noticing her expression. Someone texted me, she said, getting inside, telling me to be careful who I'm seen with. Caleb's jaw hardened. I'll let him know. No, she said quickly. Don't make it worse. It's already worse, he said, starting the engine. The second someone texts you that because of him, it's already worse. She swallowed. Where are we going? She asked. He drove toward the river. Mr. Moretti said you like places with windows. She frowned. I never told him that. He notices things, Caleb repeated. They pulled up in front of a high-end restaurant with floor-to-ceiling glass and a view of the water. 2 men in suits were at the entrance, watching. One of them spoke into his sleeve when he saw the car. This wasn't a normal lunch. Caleb walked her in. Staff greeted her like she had a reservation made weeks ago. On the far side, at a private table with the city behind him, sat Adrian Moretti. He stood when she approached. No one ever stood for her. Not her ex, not her old boss, not her father. But this man, who could have any woman in the room, stood. Harper, he said, like he had been sure she would come. Sit. She sat. I almost didn't. I know, he said. But you were curious. She glared. You really like being right. I like understanding people. Is that what this is? She asked. Understanding? It's the beginning of it. A waiter came with water, then left them alone. Adrian leaned forward. You received a text. She stared at him. You knew. I told my men to watch your building. If someone is bold enough to text you after one night, I want to know. So it was one of yours? She asked sharply. No, he said right away. Not mine. Then whose? He didn't answer immediately. He watched her, measuring how much to tell. The kind of people who like to know who I speak to. The kind who look for weak spots. I'm not a weak spot, Harper said. You're not, he agreed. But they don't know you yet. She sat back. I didn't sign up for this. You talk to me, he said. In public, in my city. That makes you seen. So what? Now I need security because I said you couldn't handle me? His eyes darkened a little. Now you need security because they think I might want to. The words made her chest warm and tense at the same time. You should walk away then, she said, from me. I don't walk away, he said simply. You're stubborn. You're mouthy. She almost smiled. So that's why you sent a car? Because you like a mouthy woman? I sent a car, he said, because I don't want you getting hurt because of me. The way he said it was so matter-of-fact that it disarmed her. What do you want, Adrian? She asked, finally saying his name. He held her gaze. I want to know if last night was just a drunk joke or if you really believe what you said about men like me. I believe it. Then I want to prove you wrong. How? She asked, challenging again. By staying, he said. By showing up. By making sure you're safe. By not disappearing after one night. By not treating you like something I can buy. That was not the answer she expected. She looked at him for a long moment. You don't even know me. I know you didn't flinch when I walked up to you, he said. I know you said no to the driver this morning before you said yes. I know you stayed in a place where you felt you didn't fit in. I know you don't get impressed easily. He paused. And I know someone texted you a warning and you still came. Her throat tightened. Because I won't let people scare me. That, he said, is exactly why they will try. A silent beat passed. Who are they, Adrian? He didn't lie. People who don't like me. People who want to cut into what's mine. People who look for pressure points. I keep my life clean. No wife, no girlfriend, no one to aim at. And now I am? She asked. You could be, he said, if we're not smart. She exhaled through her nose. So your solution is, what? Lock me in a tower? His mouth twitched. My solution is to make sure they know you're under my protection. That usually makes people think twice. Usually, she repeated. He nodded once. Usually. She looked out the window at the water, at the city moving like nothing was happening. She could walk away right now. She could tell him no and go back to her normal life. But someone had already texted her. Someone had already noticed her. And this man was the only one in the room acting like he could actually do something about it. She turned back to him. I'm not going to stop working. I'm not going to hide. I'm not asking you to, he said. I'm telling you I'll add security. I don't like being controlled. I don't control, he said. I protect. There's a thin line. Not with me. She studied him again. His eyes were steady. His posture was relaxed, but not lazy. He was in charge without raising his voice. There was a reason people were afraid of him. Fine, she said at last. For now. You can send the car. You can make sure I get home. But that's it. For now, he repeated. And I want your number. She hesitated. He tilted his head. You already have mine. She rolled her eyes. You're impossible. She gave him her number. He typed it in, then looked at her. And Harper. Yes? If anyone else texts you about me, he said, voice lower now. You tell me. Right away. Why? So you can threaten them. So I can make it stop. She held his stare. You really don't like being challenged. He smiled slowly, not wide, not soft, just confident. I like winning. She shook her head, but there was a trace of a smile at the corner of her mouth. He watched that too. When lunch ended, he didn't touch her. He didn't kiss her. He didn't push. He just stood, let her walk out first, and let everyone in the restaurant see that he was the one who brought her. Outside, Caleb was already waiting. Harper got in the car with a strange feeling in her chest, a mix of irritation, curiosity, and a very real sense that her life had just been pulled out of its normal path. As the car drove her back to work, her phone vibrated again. This time it was Adrian. Adrian, you did good. Harper, I didn't do anything. Adrian, you didn't run. She stared at that for a moment. Then she typed, Harper, I don't run. Remember that. His answer came fast. Adrian, good. Because from now on, some people will be watching you, and I prefer you close when that happens. She frowned. Harper, what people? This time, his answer took longer. Adrian, I'll tell you tonight. Harper, tonight? Adrian, yes, I'm not done proving you wrong. She locked her phone and leaned back in the seat. He wasn't done, and whether she liked it or not, neither was she. Because someone out there had already noticed Adrian Moretti talking to a woman who wasn't part of his world, and they were already deciding how to use that. And Adrian knew it. That was why, across the city, he was already telling his right-hand man, find out who texted her, and make it very clear she's under me now. The man nodded. You wanted quiet? For now, Adrian said. I don't want to scare her off. The man raised an eyebrow. You care if she leaves? Adrian looked toward the window, where the city kept moving. She said I couldn't handle her, he said simply. I intend to show her I can. And that was the moment the game stopped being a game. It became personal. And personal, in Adrian Moretti's world, always meant dangerous. The day after the lunch with Adrian Moretti, Harper's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Calls from unknown numbers, messages she didn't open. Every time she looked at the screen, she wondered if one of them would be him or someone else. By the second day, she decided she needed space. She needed to breathe without feeling watched. But that feeling didn't go away. When she left her apartment for work that morning, the same black SUV was parked near the curb. Caleb nodded politely from inside. She didn't get angry anymore. She didn't wave either. She just walked past it, pretending it wasn't there. Inside the hotel, she tried to lose herself in normal tasks, confirming catering orders, updating client spreadsheets, checking flower arrangements, but normal life didn't feel normal anymore. At noon, her phone vibrated again. It wasn't Adrian. It was another unknown number. Unknown. You shouldn't have had lunch with him. Unknown. You don't know what he is. Her chest tightened. The same cold feeling as before. She typed fast. Harper. Who is this? Unknown. Someone trying to keep you alive. She stared at the screen. The message disappeared as if deleted from the other side. Her hands shook a little. She wasn't someone who panicked easily, but this wasn't a random joke. Whoever it was knew about her and Adrian. That lunch had been private. How did anyone know? She called Caleb. He answered before the first ring ended. Ms. Blake? Someone texted me again, she said quietly. Same as last time. Where are you? At work. Why? Stay inside, he said. Don't leave the building. Caleb, it's the middle of the day. I'll tell Mr. Moretti. He'll call you. Before she could argue, he hung up. 2 minutes later, her phone rang again. Adrian. She hesitated, then answered. Harper. The sound of his voice was steady, like nothing could shake him. What's happening? She asked. You got another message? Yes. Forward it. She did. He didn't speak for several seconds. She could hear movement behind him, papers, footsteps, a door closing. I'm sending someone to get you, he said. No. Adrian, I'm working. Harper, I'm fine. His voice dropped an octave. You're not fine. Someone knows your number, someone who shouldn't. You're leaving now. I'm not asking, he said. The call ended. She stared at her phone. Then she saw Caleb appear through the glass lobby doors. He looked tense. That told her everything. He opened the car door as she reached the curb. We're going to Mr. Moretti's office. His office? Caleb nodded. He wants you where it's safe. She crossed her arms. You people really like that word. It's not a word, he said. It's a condition. She sighed, got in the car, and stayed silent the entire ride. The building was tall, modern, made of steel and glass. Inside, everything was quiet. The elevator ride felt endless. When the doors opened, she saw him standing by a window with the skyline behind him. No guards in sight this time, just him. Black shirt, sleeves rolled to his forearms, phone in hand, jaw tight. He turned when she entered. You shouldn't have ignored my calls, he said calmly. I was working, she said. And now you're here. She looked around. The office was big but simple. Dark wood, clean lines, a small espresso machine in the corner. No art, no color, just control. You didn't have to drag me here, she said. I could have handled a few texts. They're not random, he said. They came from a number linked to an encrypted device. Whoever sent them knows how to stay invisible. That's comforting, she said dryly. He walked closer. I'm not trying to scare you. I just want you to understand what happens when people get curious about me. You mean dangerous. He didn't deny it. Sometimes, yes. So this is my fault? She asked, arms folded. No, he said. It's mine. I should have known someone would see us. You mean someone from your world? He nodded once. You're smart. Then tell me what your world is, Adrian. Because right now it looks like an office and a few men in suits, but somehow people think I'm in danger just for talking to you. He looked at her for a moment before answering. My family has business interests across the city. Construction, shipping, security, the kind that draws attention, and enemies. And those enemies text women you have lunch with? When they think those women matter. I don't matter, she said. He stepped closer. You do now. Her chest tightened again, not from fear this time. He turned to his desk and picked up a folder. Sit. She did, mostly to prove she wasn't scared. He opened the folder and showed her a few printed photos, her building, her office, her walking on the street 2 nights ago. Her stomach dropped. Where did you get those? From my people, he said. They found them online this morning. Online? She repeated. He nodded. Private forum. Someone posted them with a note that said, "The new weakness." Her voice broke a little. Weakness? Me? He said quietly. They think you're mine. I'm not, she said immediately. I know that, he said. But they don't, and that makes you a target. She looked at the photos again, then at him. So what do I do? You stay close to me. She laughed once, short and sharp. You can't be serious. I am. I have a job, Adrian. I have a life. I can't just hide in your office. He nodded. Then we'll make it look different. How? You'll stay where I can reach you fast, at least until I know who's behind this. She shook her head. You don't get to decide that. I do, he said simply. If you stay alone, they'll keep watching. If you stay with me, they'll back off. And if they don't, then I'll handle it. She stood. You can't solve everything with money and threats. His eyes locked on hers. I never said I use money. That silence lasted too long. She finally said, You think I'm some helpless girl? I think you're brave enough to act like you're not scared, he said. But scared or not, they'll still come closer. She looked at him, realizing how calm he was. He wasn't guessing. He was used to this, used to people threatening him, used to reacting, and somehow that scared her more than anything. Why do you even care? She asked quietly. He didn't hesitate. Because you challenged me, because you didn't look away. Because you don't belong in this mess, and now you are. He stepped closer again, slow but steady. And because I don't let people touch what's mine. Her pulse jumped. I'm not yours. He smiled slightly. Then prove me wrong. She opened her mouth to argue, but he reached out, not to grab her, but to hand her something, a small phone. Private line, only me, Caleb, and my right hand Marco have this number. If anything feels wrong, you call. She stared at it, then took it. You have a solution for everything, don't you? I have reasons to. She looked down at the phone, then back up. What happened to the last person who got dragged into your world? He didn't blink. She didn't listen. The answer was short, cold, and effective. She didn't ask more. Finally, she exhaled. I'll stay, for now. His shoulders relaxed slightly. Good. But not because you said so, she added. Because I don't want to get killed over a stupid bet. He almost smiled. It's not stupid anymore. She shook her head. You're unbelievable. I get that a lot. She walked toward the door, then turned back. Adrian? He looked up. You said people disappear. How many? He didn't answer. That silence said everything. That night, Harper lay in a guest room of Adrian's penthouse. She didn't like how safe it felt. She didn't like that her heart slowed down only when she knew he was in the same building. She didn't like any of this. But she couldn't deny one thing. The danger was real. Downstairs, Adrian stood by the window, watching the city. Marco entered quietly. We traced the messages, Marco said. Came from a woman, Gianna. Adrian's eyes narrowed. My cousin? Marco nodded. Looks like it. Why? She said she was warning the girl. Adrian looked back at the skyline. She shouldn't have. What do you want me to do? Nothing, he said. Not yet. He turned off the lights and looked out over Manhattan again, his voice low, almost to himself. She said I couldn't handle her. She has no idea what that means yet. Harper woke to the smell of coffee. For a moment she forgot where she was. The sheets were softer than anything she owned. The quiet was heavy, expensive. Then she remembered. This wasn't her apartment. This was Adrian Moretti's penthouse. She sat up fast. The room was modern but not cold. Neutral colors, floor-to-ceiling windows with the skyline spilling in. No personal photos, no clutter. A space designed for control, not comfort. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Adrian. Breakfast downstairs, don't argue. She rolled her eyes but smiled slightly despite herself. Of course. Harper showered, found her clothes neatly folded on a chair, someone had washed and pressed them overnight, and walked out barefoot into the open living area. The place looked like something from a magazine. Dark marble, clean lines, city view stretching forever. A long dining table held a tray with coffee, eggs, fruit, and toast. Adrian sat at the end, reading the morning paper as if nothing about this situation was unusual. You sleep? He asked without looking up. I tried, she said. Your building doesn't make noise. It's weird. He glanced at her. Noise is distraction. I don't like it. I noticed, she muttered, sitting across from him. Do you make all your guests sleep here under supervision? Only the ones who get threatened. She sighed. Right, because that's normal. He folded the paper neatly. Eat. She picked up a piece of toast but didn't touch it. I'm going home today. He met her eyes. No, you're not. Her jaw tightened. You can't keep me here. I'm not keeping you. I'm keeping you alive. I told you yesterday. And I told you someone posted your photos online. He interrupted. That doesn't disappear overnight. She leaned back in her chair. You sound like you're used to locking people up. I'm used to losing people, he said simply. That's worse. The room went quiet. She looked down at the coffee. His words weren't a threat. They were a truth. A small, tired truth. Finally, she asked, Do you ever get tired of being in control? He watched her for a moment. Control keeps me alive. It keeps everyone around me alive. That's not an answer. He smiled faintly. You don't stop. Only when I get one, she said. He nodded once, almost amused. Eat, Harper. She sighed and finally picked up a fork. You really don't know how to ask nicely, do you? I don't need to, he said. People usually listen. Well, I'm not people. I know. That small admission made her pause. Later that morning, Caleb arrived with a tablet and 2 phones. He placed them on the counter. One for work, he said, pointing to the first. One for private calls, both encrypted. Harper crossed her arms. You're kidding. Standard procedure, Adrian said from behind her. I'm not in your operation. You are now. I didn't agree to this. He walked around the counter, calm, steady. You agreed to stay. This is how staying works. Her voice rose. I can't live like this. Phones, guards, surveillance. Do you want to die because someone saw your picture with me? He cut in sharply. She stopped talking. His tone wasn't angry. It was factual. Cold. Caleb looked uncomfortable. I'll wait by the door, he said quietly, and left the room. Harper took a breath. You think that tone helps? No, Adrian said, but it's the only one that works. She turned away, staring out the window. You think fear is the only way people listen? He stepped closer, voice lower now. You think pushing back will make the world less dangerous? She turned around to face him. I think you like pretending you can control it. They stood close now, close enough that she could see the flecks of green in his eyes. His voice softened. Maybe. But pretending keeps you breathing. Her throat tightened. You really believe that? I know it. The afternoon stretched long. Adrian left for meetings, but guards rotated near the hallway. Harper hated how quiet it was. She walked from window to window, tracing the skyline, trying to imagine how many people feared the man whose apartment she was standing in. At one point, she found a door slightly open. A small room with shelves, not books, but files. Organized, labeled. Inside, a wall of photos and notes. She stepped closer. Names, faces, maps of the city. One section was marked with red string connecting photos. Rival groups, shipping docks, police names. At the center, one name stood out, Morgan and Co. Underneath, a single note, looking for leverage. She froze. That phrase again. Find something interesting? She spun. Adrian stood at the door. She swallowed. You should lock that. I don't need to. You were right, she said, stepping out. You really are being watched. He nodded once. Always. Then why tell me to stay? You could have told me to disappear. I could have, he said, but I don't want to. Why? Because you walked into that bar and looked at me like I was just a man, not a name. Because you didn't flinch when people told you to. She shook her head. That's a terrible reason to risk someone's life. He smiled faintly. It's honest. She walked past him toward the living room. You don't know what honest looks like. You live surrounded by lies. He followed her. You think you know my world? No, she said, but I know what power does to people. He stopped her with one quiet line. Then why are you still here? That hit harder than he meant it to. She didn't answer. Because she didn't know. Because part of her wanted to walk out. Because another part couldn't. He moved closer, slow enough for her to stop him if she wanted. She didn't. I don't want you afraid, he said softly. I want you safe. She looked up at him. That's not the same thing. I know, he said. Their eyes locked. Neither moved for a moment. Then he reached out and brushed a strand of hair behind her ear. It wasn't forceful, just precise, like everything he did. You're impossible, she whispered. So are you, he said. That's why this works. That night, Harper sat on the balcony, wrapped in a blanket. The city lights shimmered below. She didn't feel trapped, but she didn't feel free either. Somewhere in between, a space she hadn't known existed. The sliding door opened quietly. Adrian stepped out, no jacket, sleeves rolled again. You shouldn't sit out here alone, he said. I'm surrounded by guards. I meant emotionally, he said, then smirked when she shot him a look. That was a joke. Wow, you actually make those. Sometimes. He stood beside her, leaning on the railing. The wind carried the faint scent of his cologne. He didn't speak for a long time. Finally, she said, You said you don't have anyone close because it makes you weak. I said it makes me vulnerable, not weak. Same thing. Not to me. She turned to face him. So what happens now? He looked at her, serious again. Now, you stay here until I clear your name from that list. And if you can't, I always can. And if you're wrong? He leaned in slightly. Then I'll be the last mistake I ever make. Their eyes met. The distance between them small. Too small. For the first time, Harper didn't look away. The next morning, she woke to voices downstairs. Adrian was talking to Marco. The car was hit last night, Marco was saying. Someone left a note. She talks too much. Harper's blood ran cold. Adrian's tone was ice. They're getting bold. What do we do? Move her. Harper stepped forward. Move me where? Both men turned. Adrian's jaw was tense, but his voice stayed calm. You heard. I'm not a package. No, he said. You're leverage. That's worse. He took a breath. You're coming with me to the country house. No discussion. I can't just... You can, he said, and you will. Adrian. He stepped close, hand gentle but firm on her arm. Harper, please, just this once, don't fight me. It was the first time he said please. That single word ended the argument. Hours later, the car moved through the dark, away from the city lights. Harper looked out the window at the skyline fading behind them. Adrian sat beside her, silent, hand resting loosely near hers. For once, silence didn't feel like control. It felt like promise. She leaned her head back and closed her eyes. He watched her for a moment, then turned back to the road ahead, already planning how to make the world stop touching what he'd decided was his. And as the car disappeared into the night, the city stayed awake, whispering about the woman who had made Adrian Moretti break his own rules. The country house was nothing like Harper expected. She thought it would be a cold fortress in the middle of nowhere. Instead, it was a wide, modern property with large windows, stone walls, and a big open living room that faced a line of tall trees. No neighbors in sight. No city noise. Only the sound of wind and, somewhere far, a road. It was quiet. Too quiet. Caleb parked in front. 2 other cars were already there. Men in plain clothes were stationed near the entrance, alert but relaxed. This wasn't a random hiding spot. This was a place Adrian had used before. He got out first and looked around, checking everything like a man who never stopped assessing danger. "Inside," he said. Harper stepped out of the car, wrapping her arms around herself. "You know, this feels a lot like kidnapping." "You got in the car," he said. "Kidnapping is messier." She snorted. "Comforting." He led her in. The inside was warm. Wood floors, beige sofas, a big kitchen with an island. Still no family pictures. Still no signs that this man ever lived with anyone. Everything was functional. "Is this where you bring women?" she asked bluntly. "No," he said. "This is where I bring people I need to keep alive." "So it's worse?" He almost smiled. "Depends on how you look at it." She dropped her bag on the couch. "How long?" "Until I find out who left that note." "You already know," she said. "You had names on that board. You know who wants to make noise." He watched her. Knowing and proving are different things. She sat, tired. "I still think this is overreacting." He stepped closer, hands in his pockets. "They slashed a car with my plate. They left a message about you. That's not overreacting." She looked up at him. "You always live like this?" "Yes." "Doesn't it get old?" "Yes," he said again. "But it's better than the alternative." She leaned back. "Which is?" "Body bags." She went quiet. He softened his tone. "Harper, I know you don't like being told what to do, but this isn't me trying to own you. This is me trying to make sure you don't get hurt because of me. You keep saying that. Because it's true." She looked around. "So, do I get a room, or am I sleeping on the couch like a hostage?" "You get a room," he said. "Second floor, across from mine." She raised an eyebrow. "Convenient." He held her stare. "It is." She rolled her eyes. "Fine." The first day was strange. She explored the house. There was a gym, an office, a guest room, and a long hallway with locked doors. Outside, a deck and a place for outdoor dinners. Whoever designed it wanted privacy, but not discomfort. From the back porch, she could see 2 more men posted near the tree line. She turned to Adrian, who was on the phone near the window. "Do they sleep?" she asked. He ended the call. "In shifts." "Because of me?" "Because of me," he corrected. "You're just the reason I increased the number." She blew air out of her cheeks. "You know, some women get flowers. You got armed security." "How romantic." "It is in my world." She laughed despite herself. In the afternoon, they finally stopped orbiting each other and actually talked. He was in the kitchen, sleeves rolled, making coffee himself. No staff, no butler, just him. That alone surprised her. "You cook too?" she asked. "I can," he said. "I don't like depending on people." "You don't like trusting people?" "That too." She hopped onto the counter. "So what do you do all day? Threaten people over the phone?" He gave her a look but answered. "I manage properties. I run shipping. I sit through boring meetings with men who pretend they're clean." "And the other part?" "What other part?" "The part people whisper about." He handed her a mug. "I deal with people who try to take what's mine." "You keep saying, 'What's mine?'" she said. "You realize I'm not yours." He leaned on the counter, close now. "Right now you're in my house, under my protection, using my security, drinking my coffee. So yeah, you're kind of mine." She narrowed her eyes. "You're twisting it." "I'm stating it." She sipped the coffee. It was strong. You weren't joking in the club, were you? About what? When you said, "Wanna bet?" He held her gaze. No. What are you trying to prove, Adrian? That rich men can please a woman? That rich men can protect one, he said, and that not all of us are empty. She went quiet. Then she asked, "Why did your cousin text me?" That actually made him pause. "You found out," he said. "You already knew I would." He nodded. "Gianna worries too much. She said she wanted to keep me alive. She saw your photo online and connected the dots. She grew up in this life. She saw what happens to women when someone like me cares. And she thought warning you would make you walk away. It didn't." "I know," he said. "That's why I didn't yell at her." So she was trying to help. Her way. Harper studied him. "You have people who care. I have people who owe. That's not the same." He looked at her for a long second. "No, it's not." That night, dinner was quiet. Caleb and Marco ate in the kitchen, Harper and Adrian at the table. She noticed he always sat where he could see the door. He always checked his phone every few minutes. He always listened when a car passed outside. "Do you ever relax?" she asked. "I'm relaxed," he said. "This is you relaxed?" "Yes." She shook her head. "That's sad." He smirked. "Come here." She blinked. "What?" He pushed his chair back. "Come here." She stood, cautious, and walked to him. He took her wrist gently and pulled her into his lap. Not rough, not demanding, deliberate. "You don't have to act brave all the time," he said near her ear. "Not here." "I'm not acting." "You are," he said. "You got scared. You just won't say it." She swallowed. "Fine. I got scared." "Good," he said. "You should be. Fear keeps you alert. Is that what keeps you alive? That, and not letting people get close." She turned her head slightly. "And yet I'm here." He looked at her lips. "Yeah." His hand rested on her thigh, warm, steady. The house was quiet. Guards outside. Phones off. For the first time since she met him, they were alone without the city watching. "You still think I can't handle you?" he asked quietly. She met his eyes. "I think you want to." He smiled, slow, real. "I do." He kissed her, not rushed, not hungry, controlled, like everything else he did. But it was honest. His hand moved to her jaw, his thumb brushing her cheek. She parted her lips and he deepened the kiss, pulling her closer, like he'd been holding back for too long. Her fingers curled into his shirt. He tasted like coffee and mint. His other hand slid to her lower back, keeping her steady on his lap. When he pulled back, his breathing was heavier. He looked at her like she was the only person in the house. "You good?" he asked. "Yes." "You want to stop?" She shook her head. "No." He kissed her again, slower. His restraint was obvious. He could have pushed further, but he didn't. He wanted her willing. He wanted her choosing him, not reacting to fear. She pulled back just enough to speak. "So rich men do know something." He chuckled softly. "This rich man does." She smiled, breathless. "Don't get cocky." "Too late." She laughed, then rested her forehead on his shoulder for a second. Being close to him felt safe. It annoyed her how fast she adjusted to it. He kept his arm around her waist. "You know this doesn't end when we go back to the city." "I figured. They've seen you. They'll try again." "I figured that too." "Then you understand why I put rules." She sighed. "Say them." He didn't hesitate. "You don't leave with anyone I didn't send. You don't answer unknown numbers. You don't post where you are. And if I say stay inside, you stay." She looked at him. "That sounds like control." "It's protection. You keep saying that. I'll keep saying it until you believe it." She stared at him for a moment. "My ex said the same." He went still. "Your ex?" She nodded. "He said he wanted to protect me. But what he meant was, I don't want you to talk to anyone else." "I'm not your ex," Adrian said right away. I don't care if you talk to people. I care if they can shoot at you. She swallowed. That's fair. What did he do? Adrian asked, voice calm but sharper now. He used money to make me feel small, she said, looking away. Paid my bills, then threw it in my face. Told me I wouldn't make it without him. Cheated. Lied. Then tried to act like he was the victim when I left. Since then, every time I see a man with money, I assume he thinks he can buy me. He listened without interrupting. No judgment. No mocking. Is he a problem now? Adrian asked. No. Good, he said, because I don't like problems. She looked at him again. You're different. Yes. You still scare me. Good, he said. That means you understand the risk. Later that night, as she got ready to sleep, someone knocked on her door. It wasn't Adrian. A woman stood there. Pretty dark hair, Italian features, late 20s, confident. Harper? She asked. Yes. I'm Gianna, Adrian's cousin. Harper's eyes widened. You're the one who texted me. Gianna nodded. Yeah, sorry about the drama. I didn't want to scare you. I just know how this goes. How what goes? You start as a joke. Then people see him look at you twice. Then suddenly you're on every radar. Harper crossed her arms. So your solution was to tell me to run? Yes, Gianna said. Because it's easier. Harper shook her head. I'm not running. Gianna smiled a little. I can see that. He likes that. Do you? Harper asked. Gianna shrugged. I like you alive. If staying with him means that, then stay. Just don't underestimate who's watching. Harper's expression softened. You were trying to protect me. I was trying to prevent him from getting attached, Gianna said. He's worse when he cares. Harper felt that in her chest. He already cares. I know, Gianna said. That's why he brought you here. Gianna started to leave, then added, one more thing. When he says, don't go out, don't go out. He doesn't bluff. I noticed. Gianna smiled. Welcome to the family mess, then. She left. Harper closed the door slowly. Family mess. So it wasn't just business. It was blood. Loyalty. History. People who didn't leave. People who knew exactly what it cost to be close to him, and stayed anyway. She went to bed that night with one clear thought. This wasn't casual anymore. Downstairs, Adrian sat with Marco. She met Gianna? He asked. Yes, Marco said. She mad? No, I think she understood. Adrian nodded. Good. Marco looked at him. You're really keeping her? Yes. Even if it brings heat? Yes. Marco smirked. Then we better be ready. Adrian leaned back. We already weren't ready. They got too close to her. That's on me. It won't happen again. How are you so sure? Adrian's eyes went cold. Because now they know she matters. Marco nodded. That makes her a better target. That makes me a worse enemy, Adrian said. Morning light poured through the wide windows of the country house. Harper woke up later than usual. For the first time since she met Adrian Moretti, there was no immediate chaos. No texts, no knocks on the door, no orders. Just silence and the sound of birds outside. She dressed and went downstairs. The guards were already moving around. Marco was at the kitchen table, laptop open, coffee beside him. Adrian was standing near the window, phone in hand, giving orders in that calm, even voice that didn't need to rise to be obeyed. When he saw her, he ended the call. Morning. Morning, she replied. You always start working before sunrise? I don't sleep much, he said. She poured coffee and sat across from him. So what's next? You said you'd keep me here until you knew who left that note. It's been 3 days. He nodded. We found out. And? His name's Morgan, he said. He's been running a rival operation out of Brooklyn. He's not stupid. He knew the moment my men saw that note, I'd know where it came from. He wanted attention. So he did all this just to provoke you? Yes, Adrian said. But he went too far when he used you. I didn't ask to be used, she said quietly. I know, he said. That's why I'm handling it. The way he said handling made her stomach turn. What does that mean? It means I make it stop. She set her mug down. You can't just... Harper, he interrupted softly. You don't want to know what it means. She glared at him. You keep deciding what I should or shouldn't know. Because some things you can't unhear. That's not your choice. He looked at her for a long moment. It is when your name's in the same sentence as mine. She stood. Then take it out. He stood too. It doesn't work like that. They stared at each other, neither backing down. Then the front door opened. Caleb walked in, phone in hand. His expression said everything. Boss, he said, we got a problem. Adrian turned to him. What? Someone spotted a car near the property last night. Same make and plate pattern from Morgan's men. Harper's pulse jumped. They followed us here? Caleb nodded. Looks like it. Adrian's calm didn't break, but the air around him shifted. Get extra men around the perimeter. Double the rotation. Yes, sir. Caleb walked out again. Harper crossed her arms. So much for being safe. Adrian looked at her. You are safe. I'm here. That's not the same thing. It's better, he said. She let out a breath. You don't even hear yourself. I do, he said. And I mean every word. He walked closer, lowering his voice. They're not after you because of who you are. They're after you because of me, because they think you make me weaker. Do you? She asked. No, he said. You make me focused. She wanted to say something smart, something to break the tension, but she couldn't. His eyes were steady, cold, and yet she saw something behind them that scared her more than his threats. Honesty. Fine, she said. Do whatever you need to do. Just don't tell me. He stepped closer, close enough that she felt the warmth of his breath. If I don't tell you, you'll hate me later. Maybe, she said. But I'll sleep better not knowing. He smiled faintly. That's fair. By afternoon, the house was busier. Men came and went. Cars moved up the long driveway, and radios buzzed with short-coded phrases. Harper stayed out of the way. She sat on the porch steps, watching the guards. The calm country air didn't fit the tension inside her chest. Gianna came out and handed her a bottle of water. You look like you're thinking too much, Gianna said. Because I am. About him? Harper nodded. About all of this. I keep wondering how I ended up here. I said one sentence in a club and now I'm under guard. Gianna sat beside her. That's how it works. One sentence is enough with him. Why? Because he's not used to being told no, Gianna said. He's used to silence. You talked back. That's not a crime. In our world it's rare, Gianna said. And dangerous. But he likes dangerous. Harper sighed. I think he likes control more. Gianna smiled slightly. They're the same thing for him. They sat in silence for a while. Then Gianna said quietly, he's not just fighting Morgan for territory. Morgan wants him humiliated. And right now, you're the easiest way to do it. Harper turned. How do you know that? Because I read the same files he does, Gianna said. Morgan doesn't care about money. He wants to prove Adrian can't protect what's his. And I'm the proof. Gianna didn't deny it. Does he know that? Harper asked. Gianna looked toward the house. Oh, he knows. He just doesn't care. That night, Harper couldn't sleep. Every small noise made her tense. She got up and went downstairs. Adrian was still awake, sitting on the couch, phone beside him, drink in hand. He looked up when she appeared. You should be asleep, he said. So should you, she replied. He motioned to the seat across from him. Come here. She sat. He poured another glass, slid it toward her. You drink? Sometimes. Then tonight's one of those times. She took it, sipping slowly. Gianna said Morgan wants to humiliate you. He didn't react. Gianna talks too much. Is she wrong? No. So it's true. Yes. So I'm bait. He met her eyes. You're not bait. You're leverage. There's a difference. Not from where I'm sitting. He leaned forward. The difference is, bait gets sacrificed. Leverage gets protected. She swallowed. And how long before protection turns into control? He looked down for a moment, then back up. You tell me. I think it already has, she said quietly. He didn't answer. Instead, he stood and walked toward the window, hands in his pockets. You could leave. Right now, I wouldn't stop you. She frowned. You would. He turned. No, I'd follow. She laughed softly. That's the same thing. Not to me, he said. She set the glass down. What happens when this is over? We find out who betrayed us, and then we stop them. And me? You go back to your life. Like none of this happened? If that's what you want. She stood, stepped closer. And what do you want? He looked at her, eyes tired but focused. I want to finish this before it finishes you. She reached up, touching his arm. You don't have to fix everything. Yes, I do. He turned his hand, fingers brushing hers. Go back to bed, Harper. She wanted to argue but didn't. She walked to the stairs. Halfway up, she stopped and looked back. Adrian? He turned his head. You're not the only one who wants this to end, she said. I know. The next morning, the peace broke. Caleb rushed in, phone in hand. Boss, we've got movement. Adrian stood. Where? Roadside camera picked up one of Morgan's cars heading toward the property. They know where we are. How many? 2 cars. Adrian grabbed his jacket. Get the men in position. No one outside the main line. Harper came down the stairs. What's happening? Stay upstairs, he said without turning. Adrian, stay upstairs. His voice was sharp now. She froze. He never shouted before. Caleb and Marco ran out. Adrian followed, gun holstered under his jacket, calm as ever. Harper watched from the window as the guards spread out. The road beyond the gate was empty for a moment. Then 2 black cars appeared, slowing down near the entrance. She couldn't see what was happening, but she heard the faint sound of engines, doors slamming, muffled voices, then silence, then 1 gunshot. She gasped. She ran to the door. Gianna grabbed her arm. Don't! But Harper pulled free. He's out there! By the time she reached the porch, the guards were moving again. The 2 cars were stopped. 1 tire shredded. Men on the ground, being dragged away. Adrian stood in front, gun lowered, calm. He turned when he saw her. Inside, he said. She didn't move. Was anyone hurt? No. Then why? Inside, Harper. She went. Later, when everything calmed, he came to her room. She was sitting on the bed, hands still shaking. You shouldn't have come out, he said. You could have been killed, she said back. I wasn't. But you could have. He stepped closer. This is what my life looks like. I told you that. She looked up at him. Then why drag me into it? Because they dragged you first, he said quietly. Her voice softened. Adrian. He sat beside her. Morgan's gone quiet now. That means he's planning something worse. I'll end it before he tries again. She touched his arm. And if you can't? He looked at her, voice steady. Then I'll die trying. Her chest tightened. You don't get to say that like it's normal. He looked down, then up again. You asked what happens when I care. This is what happens. She didn't know what to say. She just leaned into him, and this time he didn't move away. His hand rested on her back, slow, steady, like an anchor. They sat in silence. 2 people pulled into a storm neither had planned for. And outside, the last car disappeared down the dirt road, carrying a single message to the man who had started it all. He's not backing down, and the girl's still alive. The house didn't sleep that night. Guards rotated every hour, headlights cut across the gravel road, and every creak of the floor sounded louder than it should have. Harper couldn't rest. She paced the room until sunrise, staring out the window toward the woods. Adrian was outside most of the night. She could see him through the glass doors, talking quietly with Marco, phone in hand, expression unreadable. He didn't look tired. He looked ready. When she finally stepped downstairs, he was still standing by the window. "You haven't slept," she said. He turned. "Neither have you. I can't when there are men outside with guns. That's why they're there," he said. "So you can sleep." She folded her arms. "That's not how safety works. Not for me." He studied her face, then said quietly, "I'm handling it today." "What does that mean, Adrian?" "It means it ends," he said simply. She moved closer. "You're going after him?" "Yes." She shook her head. "No, you can't. Not like this. He's baiting you." "He crossed the line," Adrian said. "He won't get another chance. This isn't a business meeting, it's a trap." "I know," he said, "and I'm walking into it." She took a step closer. "Then don't go alone." He looked at her. "I have to." She reached for him, hand on his chest. "You don't. You just think you do." He placed his hand over hers, voice calm but final. "If I don't go, they'll keep coming. And next time, it won't be a note or a bullet in the air. It'll be you." "Then I'll go with you," she said. "No," he said instantly. "You're not going anywhere near that." "Why not?" "You said I wasn't weak." "You're not," he said. "But they don't care about that. They'll use you to get to me." "Then maybe I can stop that," she said. "Maybe if I face them, they'll see I'm not afraid." He shook his head. "They don't care about courage, only leverage." "Then you'll die for nothing," she snapped. He didn't raise his voice. "If it keeps you breathing, then it's not nothing." She stared at him. "You really believe that?" "Yes." Her throat tightened. "And if I asked you to stay?" He looked away for a moment, then back at her. "Then I'd say, I'm sorry." By noon, he was gone. Gianna and Marco tried to keep her distracted, but Harper could barely hear them. She sat near the window, watching the driveway like a lifeline. Hours passed. No news. Every time a car engine sounded in the distance, her heart jumped. When her phone finally vibrated, she grabbed it before the first ring ended. "Caleb. He's gone quiet." His tracker stopped moving. Her chest went cold. "What do you mean, stopped moving?" "Caleb. Either he turned it off or someone did it for him." She stood. "We have to go." Gianna grabbed her arm. "Harper." "No," she said. "If he's hurt." "Harper, listen to me. If you go there, you'll only make it worse." "I don't care." Gianna's voice softened. "Then do it smart. Use his people, not your panic." Harper froze, breathing hard. Gianna was right. Running blind wouldn't help him. "Fine," Harper said. "Then help me." An hour later, Harper was in the back of a car with Marco driving. She hadn't told Adrian she was coming. He'd never let her. The sun was already setting, painting the city in orange and gold as they left the quiet country roads and reached the edge of Brooklyn. Marco drove fast, but careful. He said to stay at the house. "He's not answering," Harper said. "That's not staying, that's surviving." Marco didn't argue again. If he's still alive, he's at the old warehouse on Pier 19. That's where Morgan always hides. Then that's where we're going. The warehouse looked like it had been abandoned for decades. Broken windows, rusted doors, graffiti covering the walls. Marco parked 2 blocks away. "You stay in the car," he said. Harper shook her head. "No. I'm serious." "So am I." Before he could argue, she was already out of the car. The air was cold, heavy with salt from the river. She crept along the shadows, every step deliberate. Inside, voices echoed. She hid behind a stack of crates and saw him. Adrian, hands tied, kneeling, face bruised but calm. Morgan stood in front of him, holding a gun. "So this is the great Adrian Moretti," Morgan said, pacing. "The man who built an empire on silence. Tell me, how does it feel to lose everything because of a woman?" Adrian lifted his head. "You talk too much." Morgan smirked. "And you bleed too easily." Harper's pulse raced. She scanned the area. 6 men, maybe 7, all armed. She looked at Marco. "How many with us?" 4, he said. Not enough, she whispered. She took a breath. Then we even the odds. Before Marco could stop her, she picked up a piece of metal pipe and threw it toward the far end of the warehouse. The noise echoed loud and sharp. The men turned instantly. Adrian looked toward the sound, eyes narrowing. Then he saw her. "Harper," he hissed, voice low, warning. She stepped out from behind the crates, hands up but steady. "You wanted me, right? Here I am." Morgan laughed. Well, the famous Harper Blake. The weakness." Adrian's jaw tightened. "Don't touch her." "Why not?" Morgan said. "You brought her into your mess. She deserves to see how this ends." He raised his gun, and before Harper could think, Marco's men opened fire from the back entrance. Chaos erupted. Harper ducked behind a metal beam, heart hammering. Shots echoed. Dust fell from the ceiling. She saw Adrian roll to the side, grab a gun from one of the fallen men, and fire back with precision. Calm, efficient, terrifying. When it was over, the warehouse was filled with silence again. Morgan lay on the ground, wounded but alive. Adrian walked toward him, gun still raised. "Finish it," Morgan spat. "You know you want to." Adrian stood over him, breathing hard, blood on his face. "You made a mistake," he said. "You went after something I care about." Morgan sneered. "That's what gets you killed, Moretti. Caring." Adrian pressed the gun to his chest. "No, that's what keeps me human." He pulled the trigger once. Then it was over. He turned around, searching for her. She was standing near the doorway, hands shaking, eyes wide. He dropped the gun, crossed the distance in 3 strides, and pulled her into his arms. "You shouldn't have come," he said into her hair. His voice cracked for the first time since she met him. "You could have been killed." "I couldn't stay and wait," she said, voice trembling. "I thought you were—" "I'm fine," he said. "You're safe. That's all that matters." She pulled back, eyes wet. "You're bleeding." He looked down. "It's not mine." "Adrian." He cupped her face in his hands. "You said I couldn't handle you." "I was wrong," she whispered. He smiled, tired but real. "I told you." She shook her head, laughing through tears. "You're impossible. Always." He leaned down and kissed her, deep and certain, right there between broken walls and falling dust. The world outside didn't matter. The noise, the fear, the blood, none of it. Just them. Hours later, they were back at the house. Harper sat on the couch while Gianna cleaned a small cut on her arm. Adrian stood by the window again, watching the night. "You're not going to say it, are you?" Harper asked quietly. He turned. "Say what?" "That you were scared." He didn't answer right away. Then softly, "Terrified." She smiled. "Good. Then we're even." He walked over, sat beside her, and took her hand. "You shouldn't have come." "You're welcome," she said. He laughed once. "You'll never make my life easy." "Would you really want easy?" she asked. "No," he said honestly. "Not anymore." He leaned forward, resting his forehead against hers. "Stay." She looked at him, searching his face. "You sure? Because being with me paints a bigger target on your back." He smiled faintly. "Then they'll have to get through me first." Her eyes softened. "You don't have to prove anything anymore." He kissed her forehead. "I already did." Weeks later, the city was quiet again. Morgan's men were gone, his business scattered. Adrian kept his word. No one touched Harper again. They walked together through a small park one evening, the skyline glowing in the distance. No bodyguards nearby this time, just space. "You ever think about that night in the club?" she asked. "Every day." "You still think it was a bet?" "It was," he said. "I bet I could handle you." "And?" He stopped, turned to her, eyes warm but still sharp. "I won." She smiled. "Maybe." He brushed a strand of hair behind her ear. "No, maybe." She laughed softly. "You're still arrogant. And you're still mouthy." She leaned in and kissed him. "Guess that's why it works." He nodded. "It is." They kept walking, her hand in his, the city lights reflecting in the river. No guards, no threats. Just peace, the kind both of them had forgotten how to want. And as they disappeared into the quiet streets, one truth lingered between them. She had challenged him, and he had proved it. Not with power, not with fear, but by protecting her heart like it was the only thing in his world that couldn't be bought. If you enjoy stories like this, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. That's how I'll know you truly liked it. Even if you're watching on your TV, grab a second to join this family of fans who love emotional and heartfelt stories. Your support means everything, and it helps us bring you even more tales like this one.